Alright, welcome back guys. So we have beautiful December markets. As you can see, we've clearly entered December because we're just ranging between zones. So yeah, it's interesting to see sort of, as I mentioned last week, it looks like a lure for those impatient sellers because they'll see sort of, these are not valid supplies, but they're like weak supply zones. So people see prices heading down lower, and then they might look at, instead of supply, they might be looking at the buy before the sell. And yeah, it looks like price is starting to shift, but for me it's just messy. What I just see is that you have liquidity right above this demand zone, so of course just waiting for that to be taken out, and then we can look for something from this demand, trade it into the supply, potentially a lot higher of course, because overall we are bullish. But I see this being a potential area for resistance, having that bearish pullback, and then we have this kind of area. It's not the cleanest supply. This is the next sort of place we could look at to fill in some of the, the gap here. You got liquidity above this high. But yeah, overall it's just a waiting game. I just have my alert on this demand, and we just wait to take a trade like that. I would not really, I don't think I will take a short from this supply down anymore, because that's like heavily counter trend for me, in my opinion. So yeah, just waiting on EU, and on GU, as you know, I am bearish. So last week we took one loss trying to trade from this supply, and then we had another supply here, but looking at the 15-minute, there was an entry. Let me mark this. You had liquidation like that, and then you take the entry on the break. However, I'm just not in this trade because yeah, it was on Friday evening, so I just don't hold on the weekends. The re-entry, you could say, was at 6 a.m. so price did come back to the entry kind of area, but yeah, I'm just watching this one play out. It's completely fine, because if it is strong, what you can see is that we left behind another 4-hour supply. So once price comes back in here, we can definitely look in for another position, because we're overall bearish. We can target this demand first at least, but obviously overall targeting the lows. And even if you really want to be long term, then probably heading into next year, we're seeing GU retrace quite further down, since we had this extreme bullishness back in April. So we could come back to fill some of that, come back into this demand, even lower into this demand. So yeah, that's what I'll be waiting for, and yeah, let's see what we get this week.